Take two. Hello, this is a introduction to the agroforestry plan. We want to make sustainable food forests across the nation, starting with reserves and encouraging people on their property to install beneficial microbiomes. So, starting off, I'd like to introduce my little plan, and I would love to hear people's input. Starting out, you would, wishful thinking here, but maybe you have, say 50 acres of, you know, forest land. First thing I would do is take out a bunch of the native species as much as I had to install a plethora of different irrigation techniques that are sustainable, that have been used by different cultures around the world. Um, kind of how they have the buildings that would derive moisture from the air, and kind of like how termites will do chambers of different sizes to do kind of like in air conditioning in their burrows or nest. You could have cave systems, throughout. I mean, there's just a bunch of different things you could do, and I would like to install a lot of these effective and sustainable techniques for irrigation in tandem. Also, as you're clearing out a bunch of this land, right, you should be preparing different cultures that you want to, useful cultures that you want to live there, uh, funguses and things like that, and also be collecting, maybe have a community, uh, saving their compost together. Also, some people with nurseries could be involved in having sprouts and getting plants started that we want to live in our forest, so that when we plant them, they'll already kind of be established, instead of trying to seed stuff up, from the ground, just, out in the middle of a field. Have plants that are already established. And so when you, clear the land, maybe just clear what you need to get your irrigation and those sorts of things in place, and then clear big enough patches to where your food forest, man-made environment, is going to be able to stave off the naturalized species for a long enough time for you to keep up with it, and clear this area. Maybe put a sand and a fire border around it to help protect it, parcel by parcel of this, say, 50 acres. While you till the soil, mix in your compost, mix in your cultures that are going to be useful. And before that, you want to solarize the soil and kill everything that's in it, which would be just putting clear plastic over the soil, letting the sun hit it. It'll kill everything in the soil, supposedly. But you till your cultures into the soil, and maybe cover it with something that's going to keep it from baking in the sun, manure and straw over your compost and your uh, colonized mulch or whatever you have. and maybe even the time to put in select worms and things like that. I mean, it'd have to be a pretty well planned out and coordinated effort, but I think this can be done. Um, and then when that's done, maybe after your first fruiting, where you have new uh, naturalized or started new spores in the soil, which I'm sure a lot of them would die. Uh, then it'd be time to start planting these plants that you had in nurseries as closely and densely, I mean, only useful species, as densely as you can, um, and also symbiotic species. Maybe have things in that have plants in there that have antibacterial, antimicrobial properties like cinnamon, maybe things that have anti-pest properties like radishes. Um, that kind of thinking incorporated in how we're going to put this environment together as closely as possible. Ensure your yields, on your trees, whatever fruits or herbs, wouldn't be as big as monoculture, but combined with the density, um, I believe, and I've seen it shown in other projects where this sort of thing has been done, to where your overall yield per parcel is substantially greater than mono cultures, and also it's centropic, as in it fertilizes itself. Um, you don't have to bring in sulfur and all of these chemical fertilizers and pesticides, just like you don't have to do that in the rainforest. There's a lot of scientists now and researchers that believe a lot of our most lush jungles are actually just this overgrown um, poly agriculture projects that overgrew a failed civilization. Um, and then once you do this, and you have this started, and you're wash, rinse, and repeating in different parcels, and keeping up with it until maybe you can only handle naturalizing 2.5 acres at a time, or an acre at a time, or whatever, and then putting a burn line around it, sand, and then a fire lane around it to protect it from native species coming back in naturalized. I wouldn't even call them native, because a lot of our trees, at least here in the US, or really all around the world, were brought over on ships or by other cultures and destroyed a lot of the beautiful, wonderful native forestry that we had when we got here. Same as like pythons in Florida are ravaging their environment. A lot of this plant life that people might call natural, but is not really that useful, and is not self-sustaining, is not really native or natural. So, the argument to maybe keep some of this stuff, sure, the useful stuff, but we really don't need it. The stuff that's not useful. Um, but once you get maybe the whole 50 acres established, maybe you can introduce a carefully constructed food chain. A food chain, maybe fruit eaters, I think. This is, I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about exactly, loosely, I've looked into this, but a food chain that is designed to maybe help out some of the less dominant species of plant life, you're going to have in here. I mean, there's a ton of uses and niches that you can build this food chain, right down to the bugs, to interact in here. We want to have every niche in this system filled. so that when those naturalized kind of wasteful species don't really have a lot of room to come back in, or it's hard for them. We're giving our guys time to adapt and fight back. Now, once you have your reserve, I mean, it could be even a cool thing. Finger monkeys, you can breed them in the new U.S. It could be free range finger monkey, cute, huge draw, free range finger monkey breeding site reserve. Something that's gonna get this idea out there, cause I think it only take like 2 or 3 years to have something really worth your time and investment, and in 10 years I think you'd have a natural wonder of the world. But once you have your reserve, I don't think you should, maybe you could have it like a state park, charge people to get in, but I'm really for a private thing. I don't want some regulations or some lobbied government putting regulations for the wrong reasons, and putting a chokehold on this kind of thing and profiteering. I don't want that. We don't want that. But you can take that reserve and you can encourage people in their backyards to have these little plots, microbiomes of this in the surrounding area. Have a website that's got a map, right? And you can see all the people in your area that are cross-pollinating and helping fight the good fight with you, bridging the gaps in between you and the reserve with these species that are useful. And we can terraform our environment to be better for nature, our species, our wild species that we have. We can live in better coexistence with species that people really care about, like wolves. And I'm not personally one way or the other about larger predator species, but we can live in closer harmony if we're able to bridge this gap and eventually terraform our environment all around, and have a beautiful, inspiring place where we all live. Hopefully this thing grows, and then you're weed whacking, you're putting, I guess, Roundup, in your lawn to kill a plum tree that's trying, or apple tree that's trying to come up, or rosemary or something useful, or some kind of medicinal herb. That's what you're killing in your yard. Even though some people will tell you, dandelions and a lot of these weeds we have now are really useful. But, stuff that it's least very useful and not an eyesore. And, people still want to have grass. I'm not a proponent of, I don't support grass. If it were up to me, nobody'd have you would be subsidized for getting rid of your grass. And having something, that's better for the soil and better for the community. And I mean, this gets into a liberty topic too, from your, if you have more independence of your victuals, the things you need to live, it's going to be harder to coerce you, with fear and things like that, to socially engineer or whatever somebody wants to do. Doesn't matter to me how you see the world, as long as you want to make a beautiful one, and we can work together to do it. But you have these, and we can have people like myself who want to regulate and kind of protect and sustain, monitor this environment to keep keep it from getting overgrown with naturalized bad species we don't want, like poison ivy or whatever. I mean, uh, someone might say there's a good use for poison ivy. That's fine. You can have your opinion, but that came here on a boat from somewhere, and we could have something that's useful and gives you independence and uh, is beautiful and inspires you. Um, but yeah, we can uh, sustain this until it gets more naturalized and we can take over the world. Maybe a little too ambitious, but we can get started with something really cool. Um, this channel is going to be dedicated to this sort of thing, permaculture and syntropic agroforestry. Uh, so, I want people to connect. I want to get the right people together. I want people that are interested in this, that know about land moving and irrigation, right, to be involved. I mean, this is like making a state park in your area. Everybody can have. I mean, it's so much bigger than a silly community, um, what is it, garden or something like that. Just something beautiful and awesome. Uh, you know, Not putting down your, regular state parks, but, this is better, objectively. They're man-made anyway. If you ask me, at some point they were man-made. It's just, it's 200 years old instead of 50 years old, or it's 400 or whatever. But get these people that are good at irrigation. Get them with people that are all into mushrooms and cultures and soil, um, and nutrients. Get businesses and people that want to recycle and don't want to just throw their seeds away, don't want to throw their fruit away. Maybe get some cans around and people that want to pick these cans of compost up and bring them back and use them in the park or the reserve. Um, get those to people. Maybe the universities. I know there's people that study this sort of thing. I mean, I don't think a lot of them I've seen are not as ambitious as I would like to see, but there are people with a lot of tricks for how to make this sort of thing work. I mean, there's a lot of educated and experienced people with food chains. I absolutely endorse taking liberty in affecting and creating a food chain. It's not only, or is mankind uh, have a right to do this, but it's an obligation, I believe. Um, and people that are good at networking, people are good at marketing, this sort of thing. People aren't going to know that this is going on and something great that you can be a part of without people that are really good at marketing. I think there's a bunch of fake philanthropy going on. I really do. But they have good marketing. Let's get good marketing for something, good exposure. I think it's worth it if you maybe make a bunch of great, beautiful flyers or pamphlets or, emails, social media, all of this. And especially targeting people in your area, wherever, this is going to go down. To be inspired to be a part of it. Um, so I'm gonna have more modes for people to get together on this sort of thing. More platforms. I'm gonna get on more platforms. We'll have an email going, and I would like for I want to see people getting together on this. And I'm going to post more about, uh, little individual aspects, cool things that I find. And I'd love for you to interact, leave a comment. Um, Tell me what you think. Uh, Please share, like, and subscribe. Thank you.